There we are. We are live. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, Bazooka Joe family. Welcome to our first live stream. Tonight, we're going to be concentrating on football. Uh, Planning on hopefully doing this weekly, mostly about sports review, doing it seasonally. First thing I want to let everybody know is go into the comments and root for your favorite team. And what we will be doing is whatever team wins the votes is going to be getting your that background. And you guys know who I'm a fan of. Don't let that other team win. All right, we're going to start out with the biggest surprise of the week, the biggest upset of the week. How about the Browns versus the Ravens? Everybody's been saying to get rid of Watson. I, it's never good when somebody gets hurt. It really wasn't kind of cool when everybody was voting against them. Um, Honestly, thought Darian Thompson was starting, and Winston came in and did one heck of a job. And it was the Ravens they beat. Awesome team. The Ravens had a really great off season. The funny thing is, if you look at the stats, it's an even game. The stats are almost exactly even all the way down the lines. Time of possession, first downs, total yards, passing yards, rushing yards. They are almost exactly the same. Winston came in, did one heck of a job. Watson's obviously out for the season. So another thing we cover a lot of is obviously sports cards. So if you're looking for something to get rid of, Watson's probably a good one. I don't think Watson's coming back. Actually, I take that back. He's probably going to be holding a clipboard next year. It, they had two really bad trades. There's two things you can't do in football. You can't. I'm sorry. Well, you can't do both. You can trade away your draft picks for a quarterback that will do your future, or you can trade away your weapons. It gives you a year or two to rebuild. You can't do both at the same time. Um, we're going to discuss a couple teams that it happened to. Um, the Broncos and Ravens were a really big surprise, especially with the backup quarterback just stepping in his first game. So the Browns might actually be something to do with. It's funny. I actually felt bad for Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy was with the Broncos when they were horrible, and then now they're having a decent season, and they traded him to the Browns and they were horrible. But everybody, the whole team was screaming to get Watson out. So I'm sorry that he got hurt so seriously. I wish him the best of luck. But I mean, it just goes to show. I don't know how many of these quarterbacks are going to get guaranteed money. Guaranteed money. If the quarterbacks are worth that much, give them the money that they got to earn. Like give them bigger bonuses that they got to earn. Every single quarterback that's got a huge guaranteed up front has ruined the team. I mean, Watson is they they could be paying for him for years. One of the highest paid quarterbacks. They were trying to save a little bit they were trying to save a little bit up front, and look what happened. I mean, it's like uh, Browns are going to be a mess for a couple years. They owe him so much. Um, I don't know if they're going to have a good enough draft. Try to draft somebody this year. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with Winston. I mean, like I said, I mean they beat the Ravens. They didn't beat some scrub team. Um, Ravens are having a pretty decent season, sitting at 5-3. You figure with Adam Henry, and they really didn't lose anybody this year. I honestly thought the Ravens were going to the Super Bowl last year. Last year, I honestly thought the Ravens had it. Lamar had MVP, um, and they almost had it. So, all right, as you guys are logging in, like I said, we're just going to go through the entire season. I'm sorry, through the entire week. Again, we're going to be talking mostly about the schedule and the scores. We do cover a lot of sports cards, so I'm going to be just hitting on that a little bit. Again, we will we're going to make the show about what you guys are asking about. So as you guys log in, let us know what you're looking for. If you have any requests, let me know. I'll move those teams up to the front. Also, again, don't forget that voting. Again, what put down in the comments your favorite team, and whatever team wins that week is going to be the backdrop for the entire week for all of our card shows, for all of our videos that we make that week, and our live stream that week. So, and we're going to do that seasonally. Right now, we'll probably stick with football till the end of the season, and then we'll switch to basketball and baseball. We'll do that seasonally. So, all right, up next, the Broncos and the Panthers. This is kind of what I was talking about when we were talking about you can't trade away your your drafts and your weapons at the same time. The Panthers, I don't know what the Panthers are going to do. They tried to bench Bryce Young. They had to bring him back the same week. Darnold's got his thumb hurt, and I don't think Bryce has a future. Last year they said it was because they didn't have a team, but they built as much of a team as it. You can't say it's not the team 2 years. He's just making it. And his rookie year's over. He had a whole season to learn. And like I said, the biggest thing is they traded away their first round picks for a couple years, and then they traded away McCaffrey, DJ Moore. Like they traded all their weapons and their draft picks. If you do one or the other, you can still have a half decent team and then slowly rebuild it. When you trade away all of your major weapons and all your high draft picks for a couple years, when you get in this situation, what do you do? Like, get rid of their weapons, gave them some draft, but nobody wants to go there. And the Panthers are the Broncos. We're going to talk about the Broncos soon. The Broncos, and the Panthers were an absolute train wreck last year. Like it was, the Broncos were in the same exact situation. They took Wilson, who had a 2-year contract, extended him before he even played a single game, and then ended up dropping him. So so now he's winning games for the Steelers, and they're paying a large majority of his salary. You're going to learn something really quick. I don't say this very often about rookie quarterbacks. My opinion, you can't judge a rookie quarterback until about his third year. Look at every single year. Every single year. How many quarterbacks do we have that are the next coming of Mahomes, and then after 2 years, it's always after 2 years. After 2 years, they flop. And what it is, they got the rookie quarterback. They're able to build superstars around them, and then on the third year, everybody's getting paid, and they're starting to lose that stars. And then you really realize what quality that quarterback is. Bo Nix, I'll tell you right now, is the one exception. I'm not saying he's going to be the next Mahomes or Favre, but Bo Nix is not going to be a flop. He's not perfect. He's making a lot of really good quality. He's not playing like a rookie quarterback. But the other thing I noticed, most of the problems he's having are in his footwork. And stuff like that you can fix. When you have problems on the way you play, those are the ones that are hard to fix, and that's when quarterbacks do bad. And he is playing with who's wide receiver one, Sutton. He's got 2 out of 3 wide receivers I've ever heard of. So he's not surrounded by superstars. They are now 5-3. Cortland Sutton's their number one wide receiver. I'm not saying he's not bad, but he's nowhere near top of the league. So he's got a half decent team around him, and they're winning games and they're playing really well. I'm really surprised how easily the Broncos turned around. The Broncos were a train wreck last year. I'm really surprised they traded Judy, especially for what they got for him. I mean, they practically gave him away. So hopefully they're going to have they're going to have some more cap next year to use. The Panthers, I never, ever, ever want to see a team do horrible. Never want to see a team do absolutely horrible. I feel bad for the Panthers. Like I don't know how they're going to fix it. I don't know what they're going to do there. But then again, I thought that about the Broncos, but they're probably not going to be doing well for at least the next 2 years. So, and again, like I said, I'm just doing the teams in random order. I'm sorry, my cat would not stay off my lap no matter what I did. My wife literally tried making him the bed over there. All right, up next, Bills at the Seahawks. I'm surprised at how big of a difference there was in this game. I'm really surprised. I thought the Seahawks were going to do pretty decent. I really thought the Seahawks were going to do pretty decent. Seahawks are a pretty quality team. Again, they're another team don't have a whole lot of big names out there, but they got a good solid. 31-10 is the final score. Um, uh, the Bills are a surprise this year. I would definitely look them to go deep into the playoffs this year. Um, the Seahawks, Keon Coleman had an outstanding jumping one-handed catch in the end zone. That was great to see. And there wasn't a lot of big plays. There was just a lot of consistent plays all the way down the field all night. Seahawks again remain to be seen. They're a good quality team. Geno's healthy this year. See how they're making out for the rest of the year. Bills. I'm sorry. Bears and Commanders. What? What happened? Commanders were winning the whole game. And you guys know I'm an Eagles fan. Obviously, I was rooting for Washington to lose. Giants or the Eagles would have moved back in the first place. And I watched all the game up until like the last 5 minutes. I had to go eat dinner and stuff. I pick up my phone. 21 seconds left. Bears are winning. I'm like, game's over. I go and eat. I come back and I keep hitting refresh. And I'm like, how often the Hail Marys work? Commanders are another one. Last year the Commanders were all the free wins last year. It's funny that I know they picked up the rookie quarterback, but they didn't seem to do a lot during the offseason. So I don't know whether he's the real thing. Again, I'm not going to pass judgment until at least the second year. I'm really surprised about Washington. It's not. It's just that they didn't really do a lot during the offseason. Their team consistency is pretty consistent with what it was last year, and yet they went from worst to first. So we will keep an eye on them. All right, Saints at Chargers. Again, you see things that make your eyes roll. When we saw, I didn't catch who did it. The one of the guys on the Saints was trying to twist Herbert's hurt foot. There's no room for that in football. Absolutely no room for that. Hitting guys kind of rough, trying to bruise them up just enough to miss the game against you is one thing. There's no excuse for that, and I hope they take action for that. Chargers are having a pretty decent season, 4-3. I think they should be at least 5-2. The Saints. Everybody thought the Saints was the team this year, 2-0, and then the slide started against the Eagles. They played decent teams in their 2 wins too. It wasn't like they were playing scrub teams. Haven't really caught too many of their games, so we will see how that goes. Next thing we got to talk about. Everybody knows it's the law when you are an Eagles fan. What team you got to be against? Every time, I'm at a card show and I'm going through a box and I see an Ezekiel Elliott card, I laugh. Last year, the Cowboys were all in this year, and last year they decided Ezekiel Elliott wasn't worth the money and dropped him. And their best signing all of season was re-signing the guy they dumped. Oh, yeah. The Cowboys, Dak's got, 5 games in a row with 2 interceptions. You know what? You can't say it's all Dak's fault. It's not all Dak's fault. The problem is number one that they don't have they only have the Cowboys really don't have a great O line, and they have no run game. And when you don't have a run game, it's really easy. And CDs are only they have some decent receivers. CDs are only big deep weapon, so they don't have to put a whole lot of people on the line because they know they can't run the ball. They keep the extras back, and they're just containing them. And even when they got a limited amount of people on the line, they're still getting the Dak. They're still putting them under pressure. Um, but it's not. Some of it is Dak. You can see he's making bad throws. That big long interception. He underthrew that ball by 3 or 4 yards, and he was. It's not like he was under pressure. He's making some bad mistakes. Um, again, CD can't carry the team. But the Cowboys can't get a run game. Well, I seriously doubt they got a shot at the playoffs. They got a pretty hard schedule. They're not getting any better. I mean, they just came off a bye, and and they lost to a 49ers team that's beat up and not having a great season either. Back 2 interceptions for the first time, second week in a row. 49ers having a heck of a season. How about George Kittle? Eighth consecutive 500-yard season. He Let's see. He just passed. He just at the end of the game. He's at 6,777 yards. Moved into third all time in 49er history, behind Jerry Rice. I forget who the other one was. He's a second overall for total yards in tight ends this year, and he is the fourth fastest in NFL history to get to the amount of yards he has. Um, just to give you an idea, Brock Purdy had as many rushing yards as the entire Cowboys team. So that's just to give you an idea how well their run game's doing. Brock Purdy, 18 for 26, 260 yards, 114 passer rating, and 56 yards running with a touchdown. So you know how that game went. Oh, Cowboys fans are back to burning their jerseys again. That's every season. So um, I don't know how the Cowboys fix this unless they can before the trade deadline can. It's not like there's any extra running backs out there. They all get signed in the offseason. So they need an O line. They need another receiver. They definitely need some. They need a run game. If they can't get a run game, their season's over. Um, so all right, moving on. Chiefs and the Raiders. It was actually a surprising game. Raiders are only 2-6 now, and they only lost. It was 27-20. It's only a one-score game. Chiefs ain't a whole lot to say about them. They're undefeated. But you know what? They're not blowing everybody away. Every single game they've won's been a one-score win this year. So it's not like they're blowing it away. It's not like they're a shoe and win. It is still anybody's game, and that's a lot of it this year. A lot of the scores, a lot of the standings are really surprising this year. A lot of teams came out undefeated, and now they're horrible. And there's very few blowaways this year, except for the Cowboys game last year, and and unfortunately the Giants game last week. But Raiders are plagued by bad coaching decisions. I don't know why they keep staying with it. Every single game, they're losing points, losing plays. Everybody's screaming about the coaching. And it's not just the fans. Um, Brock Bowers, 14th overall pick this year, had a NFL record 47 receptions in his first 7 games. So at least they got one big highlight for the Raiders. Just traded Devontae last week. That's I guess they're giving up on the season and just hoping for next year already. And Bowers is also the number one tight end, which brings me to a good point. If everybody didn't know, Sunday was National Tight End Day, and all the tight ends in the NFL combined for a record 177 receptions by tight ends. So they made one heck of a holiday for that. So, all right, next game up, the Dolphins at the Cardinals. Tua is back. Everybody's calling for him to retire. Tua's saying football's all I know. It's my life. I ain't retiring. So he had a good game. A Chain, Hill, and Waddle are all having really good seasons. You could see that they were happy to have Tua back. I don't know if anybody watched the game. The stadium looked empty. The stadium was only like half empty. Almost all the VIP seats were empty, and like only the lower section of the stadium was full. I was really surprised to see that. Stadium was looking empty. Tua's back. He looks like he's in full form. Yet they still lost the 4-4 Cardinals. Cardinals was coming into the game 3-4. The good news about the Cardinals, it does look like Murray and Harrison are finally connecting. That was the big draft. Marvin Harrison was supposed to be the next Jerry Rice. Again, it's too early to tell. You can't judge a rookie after just a couple games. But it does look like, and they were throwing some stuff back and forth. Does look like they had a good game together. They were connecting. They were so that looks like that's making progress. All right, Eagles and Bengals. Sherry, how you doing? Welcome in. Right now, we're just reviewing the football games of the week. We do review all sports. We also do a lot of sports cards. Let me know if there's any particular teams you like. Also, drop your favorite team in the comments. And what we're going to do is, whatever team wins that week, we're going to do the backdrop that entire week for all of our live streams where we sell cards, all of our videos, and our live streams. So whatever team wins, we're going to be doing the backdrop for the whole week. Please don't let me be the Cowboys. I'll never live it down. Welcome in. We appreciate you. Appreciate you. Please feel free to drop any questions or anything. All right. Speaking of which, Eagles and Bengals. I tell you what. For the last year and a half, the Eagles driving all of us fans nuts. I tell you what. I was literally the week of the Giants. I was literally getting ready to say that we're not sinking was getting old. Started the season 10-0 last year, and there was a lot of problems this season. Every single game there was an errant snap. I was really thinking that they shouldn't have made Lane. They shouldn't have forced Lane to switch to center. That's been fine the last 2. There was a lot of stuff that was simple mistakes that were making a big difference. Like every single game up until the Giants game, there was an errant snap that either cost us having to turn the ball. It was either a turnover or costing us having to punt the ball. That's been fixed, and the Eagles look like their old team again. They are sinking. They look like they're enjoying the game again. They look like their old selves, and it's good to see. It's really, really going to be good to see. It's going to be good to see what the rest of their season's like. New York Giants. We just, I, it's funny. The Giants are actually what got me into football. When I was a kid, unfortunately, but nobody in my family was into sports. So in '87, I think it was, the Giants won the World Series. I found out that the New Jersey Giants, New Jersey's the only team that builds football teams their stadiums that don't have a team. I found out that the New Jersey Giants were going to the Super Bowl. That's what got me into football. So I'm a diehard Eagles fan, but I always root for the Giants. I always have a soft spot for the Giants. They're my second favorite team. We're not going to talk about least week's game. We are gonna, I do have the Giants coming up. I will actually bring them up next. Um, and I do have a couple notes to make about them. But the Eagles are sinking. Mike Gesicki had one heck of a game for the Bengals. I don't know what's going on with the Bengals this year. They're 3-5 now. Um, it, Everybody was talking about at the beginning of the game. Oh, they had 10 minutes of possession. It was one drive. It was one drive. The only reason they had 10 minutes of possession is every single game was 3 yards here, 4 yards there, three. It wasn't like they were dominating. They were barely making first downs for 70 yards. It wasn't. It was they just barely managed to get a first down every time, and they were talking like the Bengals were dominating the game. The only reason they had that much time possession after the second half, when Burrow got intercepted, they zoomed in on his face and he looked defeated. I've never seen Burrow like that. And it just seemed like late in the game, the Bengals gave up. Like they weren't trying to win no more. And I'm not talking when it was 20 points. I'm talking when they were down like 10 points. It just seemed like they had the wind taken out of them. And I don't know what's wrong. They're a good team. They still got the same quality players. I hate to say it, maybe they're just not sinking right now. But Eagles are doing outstanding. They are enjoying the game again. They are syncing up. They're doing really well. So, all right. Oh, sure. Yes, we'll talk about the Giants. Uh, Giants and Steelers. I tell you what. Here's the thing. I got to give the Steelers a lot of credit. Beginning of the season, they didn't have a quarterback, and they were worried about which quarterback was going to be worse. Now they got two starting quarterbacks, either one that could win a game. Russell Wilson, I'm jury's not out on him after just 2 games. I can tell you that. It's only been 2 games. I will say he looks really good. It's not that they're not playing. It's not just because they were playing the Giants. He's hitting people. He's accurate. But you know what? He hasn't been under any pressure either. And the problem with Russell Wilson is he's been playing for other quality teams and he started doing bad for no reason. So it's a little early for me to pass judgment. I'll tell you what, the Steelers are a force to be reckoned with right now. Um, but the thing is, if you look at the game, it was an even game. If you look at uh, time of possession, total first downs, total yards, passing yards, rushing yards. It was almost exactly even. It was an absolutely even game. The only difference was penalties. And the thing is, the Giants had a lot more penalties than the Steelers. The penalties were 11-5, but the Steelers lost 2 touchdowns out of their penalties. Turnovers were 2-1. That did cost the Giants. That was costly for the day. And yards per play was like 5.9 to 6.8. What did the Giants do? I don't know. Mac Jones is on a pretty big I'm sorry, Mac Jones. Daniel Jones is on a big contract. Mac Jones is backing up Taylor right now. We'll see how that goes. All right. Giants aren't playing bad. They just Wandell's a really good rookie for them. Again, they're a young team. Obviously, they're not going to turn around this year, but they have some cap space. They I don't know why they let Saquon go. Saquon was the Eagles' team beginning of the season, and with him, they would be a different team, and they had the cap space. I understand why they let him go. I'm assuming it because they didn't want to. My best educated guess is with the injuries he's had in the past, they were worried about paying him too much and him getting hurt again. You can see how well that's going. But there's not a whole lot of everybody. Everybody's harping on the running backs. Nobody wants to pay for the running backs. Nobody wants to pay for the running backs. Well, guess what? 2 big name running backs signed with other teams this year, and it's going well for both teams. Um, so Giants just got to get through the season. There's no way they're turning around this season. They with their record at their record's not good. They should have a good draft. We gotta see what's available in the draft this year, but they got to take some of that cap space and find some stars next year. They do have a lot of good young stars. They did pretty good in the draft this year, so they got something to build around. But I wouldn't rely on just the draft. They're gonna have to spend some money next year and get a really good quality in there. Is Daniel Jones your future? I don't know. I really don't know. Um, he's a good enough quarterback to be a starter, but unless they got a superstar team around him, I don't know whether they're going to, be a playoff team in the next year or two. Um, I don't know what the quarterback draft class this year looking up comes like. That's gonna be really important. So, yep, yes. One thing I forgot to mention. Just to give you, I will tell you what. I know I am. I kind of favor the Philly teams because I'm a big Philly fan. But I tell you what, it's even on the Phillies. Um, even on the Phillies, one of the reasons that everybody comes to Philly is it's like a family atmosphere. On the Phillies, Harper Trey Turner was offered to be made the highest paying uh, player in baseball. He turned that down to come to the Phillies, and it's because everybody says the Philly teams are like a family. It's and just to give you an idea, Saquon had his best rushing game ever at Giant Stadium, and he sat down at the end of the game. And the offensive coordinator came over to him and said, "Hey Saquon, we just realized you're set like 16, 17 yards from your all-time best game." He's like, "We really want to get that for you." And he's like, "Let the kids eat." He literally could have gone out there, ran two or three plays, and set a new high against his old team. But again, he's like, now let the kids get even just those extra two or three plays. Let them have it. And it just goes to show you the type of team the Philly teams are. And like I said, the Eagles are sinking. Look out. Whatever was not sinking before, whatever was not clicking, it seems like it's over. And I'll tell you what the Giants need. We still got a couple weeks left before the trade deadline. I don't really know of any running. There's not a whole lot available out there though. Trade deadline's coming. Devontae was just traded. D Hop to the Chiefs. I was kind of surprised about that. I'm not surprised that he was traded. I'm surprised he went to the Chiefs, but with their injuries. But again, everybody's like, we don't have enough problems with the Chiefs. Why are you why are you helping them? Like, everybody in their division over there is like, stop. Like, all right. Do you have any other questions about the Giants, or you have any ideas about what you think they could do? What you think you could do to make them better? Let me know. Um, all right. Speaking of New York teams, about them Jets. I I just found out something today. I just found out something literally today. Do you know the Jets guaranteed Rodgers another 2 years of money? Guaranteed money? I, I don't understand what these teams are doing. Rodgers literally said before Rodgers came to the Jets, he literally took a hiatus to decide whether he was going to retire. And when he agreed to a trade to the Jets, he said he was coming for 2 years. He literally said, "I'm coming to the Jets to help you rebuild the team, hopefully make the playoffs, and retire in 2 years." They gave him a 4-year contract. If he retires or he gets hurt again, they have to pay $56 million in cap space next year. What what are these teams doing? I don't understand what they're thinking. He literally said, "I'm playing for 2 more years. I'm done." So I he, the Jets are in a bad spot. Rodgers is obviously a shoe-in Hall of Famer. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's too old. The Jets have a pretty decent quality, but they know Rodgers can't run, and they're rushing the line, and the receivers are having problems. Receivers dropping balls, And they're getting him every play, and the Jets are just fall apart. They know he's too old to run, so they're just going to keep rushing the line every time. And they got some decent quality receivers, but not the type that can be catching the ball for 5 seconds after snap, and they're all over Rodgers, and it's the team's falling apart. Like so, if he gets banged around as much as he did next year, I don't think he's going to be back. And now what are the Jets going to do? Because they got if if he retires this year, they have to pay both years of his cap next year, and it comes to 56 million, which is more than an entire year for a top quarterback. Like I don't know what football's doing with these, but they're so worried about prepaying the quarterbacks to try to save a couple $1 million down the road, and everybody's doing it. It's falling apart. You got Wilson, you got Watson, you like, and now we got the Rodgers situation. I mean, like, I don't understand how he said I'm playing for 2 more years and retiring, and they gave him a 4-year deal. Ay. Patriots and Jets both 2-6. Patriots, I don't have a whole lot to say about the Patriots except the rebuilding. Jets, I'll tell you what, and if you're in one of my whatnot streams in the near future, this is going to be one of our next trivia. What is the NFL team that in the last 5 years has had the worst draft results over the last 5 years? And by draft results, the way it's calculated is everybody you draft. It's basically kind of like the equivalent every year they play active is like a point. So it doesn't even have to be for that team. Even if they get traded, but they still continue playing. It's how many players do you draft versus how many active years do they play? And you'd actually be surprised. I thought I knew who it was. Who I thought it was the second team. The team that I thought it was is one that has had 24 starting quarterbacks the last 5 years. All right. All right, guess who's next? Anybody want to guess who's next? Colts and Texans. AR needed a break. Guess what? He's got one. Anthony Richardson sitting the bench next week. Joe Flacco is back up. Last year, I told everybody to hold on to their Flacco cards. And guess what? They're going to be looking for him again. Flacco is starting next week. Colts have a decent team. When you are a sophomore quarterback in the middle of the season, I've never ever seen a quarterback have to sit down because they retire. At least fake an injury, fake a twisted ankle, something. I've never in my entire life seen a quarterback say they're too tired to sit down. But for 50 years of watching football, if anybody else has seen that, let me know. Never seen it ever. The whole stadium was yelling to bench him. Colts, Colts have a decent team. Let's see how they do with Flacco. AR-15 is. Let's see how we do with Flacco. Texans 6-2 despite their injuries. Hopefully they stay healthy. Wish them the best. Stroud's still doing great. Everybody's calling the team the Strouds. We're not calling them the Texans. It's kind of funny. Again, remember my 2-year rule. Again, CJ's doing great, but it's his second year and he's got a great team around him. All right, Falcons at the Bucks. What do we say about the Falcons? Falcons are having a good year. We kind of expected that with Cousins. Cousins is having another good quality year. Cousins, I gotta say, is the king of pay. Cousins is the king of swapping whatever team is paying the most. He's a great quarterback. I give him a lot of credit. Kyle Pitts is finally having the type of year we've been expecting from him. Kyle Pitts is having an outstanding year. He's third in the NFL in receiving yards, set a whole bunch of touchdowns this year. London's been kind of quiet. I'm kind of surprised about that. I didn't really get a chance to look up what kind of season he's having, but I haven't heard his name a whole lot. I really thought London was going to have a breakout season with Cousins there now. Falcons are having a good quality year, even though one of their wins was a rip off of the Eagles. Buccaneers. I don't know what's going on with the Buccaneers. They're like the Buccaneers are like a roller coaster. They ran over. They're literally like this year. They're hard to track. I don't know what's going on with them. They're the same team. They ain't got a whole lot of injuries, and yet they seem like they come to win one week, and then the next week they don't know what's going on. So not sure what's going on with the Bucks this year. All right, Packers and Jags, exact opposite records, 6-2 and 2-6. Packers having a great season. Their first win was obviously a loss against the Eagles. Um, Jordan Love's showing that he deserves a starting spot. They got a lot of really good key players. They're staying healthy this year, playing good quality ball. So it's good to see. The Jags are another surprise. They didn't change a whole lot in the offseason. Um, Lawrence seems to be having a really bad season. Haven't really caught too many other games. If anybody knows what's going on there, let me know. I don't know how. I don't know what Jaguars do to fix this year. Um, Vikings at the Rams. That was a big surprise. Rams beat the Vikings 30-20. Vikings started out 4-0. They seem like to be the team to beat, and then things turn around for them. Now they're 1-2 in their last three games. It was pretty surprising. And again, everybody knows I'm a big sports fan, and we're doing this mostly about sports, but we also know that I do a lot of cards. And I tell everybody, stop jumping on these rookies. Stop jumping on these rookies. What happened to JJ? Has taken a single step. Um, Sam stepped up, had one heck of a season. Justin Jefferson's having another good season. Addison's doing a good quality job. Um, they're having a really good overall year. I'm not sure what happened the last two games. They seem to be playing good quality, but I'm surprised they dropped one of the Rams. Rams are coming around. Um, Rams have a good team, but they're just they're winning. They were winning. They were losing a lot of close games. Um, they're making a lot of mistakes. I think they had a lot of penalties this year. A lot of mistakes this year. They're talking about trading Cup. I don't think they were asking too much for him though. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. They might still trade him off, but the Rams want too much for him. The Rams are just having one of those seasons at 3-4. They're not going to make the playoffs, and if they do, they know they're not going to go deep. So they're shopping Cup. Um, can't re- I can't really think of a team that would pay enough for him that make it worth it. Um, so all right, I think that wraps it up. Baseball, what's there to talk about? Can't believe can't believe the Dodgers are 3-0 against the Yankees. Walk off grand slam. All right, sports card news. My 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 advice this week: who to buy? James Winston. That should be a no-brainer. Um, Brock Bowers. Tell you what, he's having an outstanding season. Sam Darnold, and James Winston. I guarantee you can find them in just about any bargain box still. So be digging through them. And the only rookie quarterback that I'm saying to hold on to right now is Bo Nix. I'm telling you, I'm not saying Bo Nix is the next coming of Mahomes or anything, but I'm telling you, he's not going to be a flop. I can say I'm I very very rarely give my opinion about rookies, but I do feel he is going to be at least a good solid quality starter. Like I said, he's having a really good season. A lot of rookies have a really good start to the season. He doesn't have a lot of weapons at all. Like I said, Cortland Sutton's his wide receiver one. I've never even heard of their other wide receivers. He's making a lot of really good quality plays, and what mistakes he's making is in things like his footwork, and that's the type of things you learn as rookies. Not making a whole lot of rookie mistakes. He's making good quality throws. Um, who to get rid of? Sorry to say it, but Watson. He's done. Who to hold on to? Fields. I would hold on to Fields. I'm not really too confident that Wilson's the man. I give him credit; he's playing really good, but he's been a roller coaster the last couple of years. Um, Bryce, might as well hold on to him. He's starting still. People are going to be buying him. And I'm telling you, Rodgers, hold on to Rodgers. He's a Hall of Famer. He's probably going to retire at the end of the year. He's in a slump right now. His prices are down, but everybody knows when you have somebody with a Hall of Fame quality career, when they retire and when they die, usually when their cards go up. So I would hold Rodgers. All right, that's probably going to be it for our week in review. Again, vote for your favorite teams down in the comments. What we're going to do is all of our live streams and all of our videos, we're going to tally up the votes for the week, and whatever team won is going to be our. I'm going to at least wear the team shirt, but whatever team wins that week is going to be the theme of our show for the entire week. So all right, I appreciate everybody joining us. Thanks for hanging out. Again, we should be doing this once a week. I appreciate every single one of you. All right, thanks for coming out, and we'll talk to you soon. See you in the next video.